Thanksgiving's almost 2 weeks ago now. Welcome to another special Tuesday night edition of the Joe Six Pack Podcast. And our special guest tonight, we're going to bring on in a couple moments Justin Miller from Apex Racing League. A lot of good stuff to talk about there. Joe Six Pack Podcast is live on Twitch TV and for download later on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Anchor.fm, Shoutcast, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, YouTube, and scrolling around the web. Turns out we're on some other ones too. So you can also look for the upload to the video and the audio on YouTube where it stays forever. To be here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Greg Dry. So be here for 2 weeks, then they kick it off so they can save some bandwidth, etc. And we met our first goal of 52 followers, looking for 60. 60 mean anything? Nope. It strokes my ego, and then maybe they'll run an ad or two and throw me a quarter and maybe get some beer money out of it. But now I'd like to bring in our special guest for this evening from the Apex Sim Racing E-Series Showdown, Justin Miller. Good evening, Justin.
Greg, how are you?
Good. How you doing? And I see in your bio you gave me here, it said Southern boy. So whereabouts are you down south? Because I see that you've been around a little bit down there.
Yeah, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, or just outside of Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay, is that where you are now?
It is. Well, yeah,
okay.
Just a few miles south of Jackson. It's probably about 10 minutes or so.
Okay. I've got some southern roots on my mother's side. There's about 2 hours from Atlanta, Georgia. There's a city called Augusta. She grew up there, and just over the border. Yeah, and just over in South Carolina, a small town called Jackson, and they got a drag strip down there. And I was like, and we went back a couple of years ago, and the drag strip has grown up into a pretty major event. So I was pretty happy there. So, so you're married and have what you describe as 3 devil children. How did they become such little devils?
I got 3 little girls.
Okay.
They're ages 13, 10, no, 13 and 11 and 9. So they're 2 years apart.
Oh, so you got your hands full.
It's the terrible 3.
Were they terrible when they're 3, or they're terrible because there's 3 of them?
They're terrible because they're all because there's 3 of them all together. It gets pretty wild around the house some nights. So I never know if I'm walking into a fight or somebody crying.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we've got 3 here, but they're 26, 22, and 21. Actually, they'll be 22 and 21 this year. The 2 youngest are a year and 20 days apart, so we missed Irish twins by 20 days. But since we're Irish and Scottish, we're calling them the Irish twins. They got along for the most part, but then when you get the older one picking on the little one, so yeah, I've been there, done that. I'd like to say it gets better. It does. So
ours don't do too bad. As long as you don't have the 3rd one in there, life's pretty easy around them. But you throw that 3rd one in there,
yeah,
and man, it gets. I never know what's going to happen next. They keep us on our toes.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
They go to the racetrack with me. They'll come in here and run on the sim rigs. They're not normal girls.
Well, good. Who wants normal girls?
Yeah, I didn't. Man, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the girly thing.
No, I couldn't either. That's why I'm glad. I'm glad Sam and Abby, when they were little, like 4 and 5, they both did the girly girl and boy thing, whatever that's called. So it kind of saved me from doing that. But it's a handful raising 3 kids. I know that.
It's never a dull moment. It's entertaining no matter what happens. So I don't know how to explain it. If you've never done it, you just don't understand.
Nope, and you never will. So, what do you do when you're not dealing with the kids there? You said you work outside?
Yeah, I work for a underground utility company. I bury utility lines for a living. I never knew there was an art to digging a ditch until about 6 months ago. Before that, I was a audio video technician, and I've done electrical work. I've done a little bit of everything.
Oh, what type of audio video?
I did commercial audio video for churches to boardrooms to
Oh, no kidding.
whole 9 yards.
I had always had a fascination with audio and video, more audio, because when I was like 14, I started hanging around radio stations and just fell in love with the medium. And then I always wanted to, do recording, and I did a little bit of work doing voiceover commercials, and I absolutely loved being in the studio watching all the buttons on the mixing boards and such like that, and just the acoustics in a room like that are incredible. And I've got a friend that does commercial audio video. He and I were both we talked earlier. I mentioned I did talk radio, and he was my engineer, and he branched out on his own. And every time he somewhere he says, "Hey, I'm doing this today," and he's got his he's in either in a big studio with the big mixing board and the acoustic panels all over the wall, or he's out in the field working on movies and commercials. It's
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I miss doing that, but that's why I started doing podcasting, is because it's the closest thing to talk radio, and I don't have to go to a radio station to do it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I miss it just a little bit. I just quit in May to go chase this underground career.
Yeah.
Some days I wonder if it was the right choice. Other days I'm like, yeah, I'm not sitting behind the mixing console or running a cable through an attic or something like that. I'm like, yeah, it's not so bad.
No, working outside's great. Like I said, I don't dig ditches, but I dig holes and plant trees and roll around in the ground, pulling weeds and mowing lawns. I
fight with landscape guys all the time because they cut our cables.
Oh yeah.
Some houses they require us not to dig through the grass, so we have to get through the flower beds.
Yep.
And no matter how deep you get the cable, they'll still cut it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, do you have 811 down there where anybody that's digging is supposed to call 3 days before?
Oh yeah, we do. And man, a lot of our landscapers down here though don't call them.
Ah, okay. You see, if you
it happens, but it's not new.
Nope, it's the same. Trust me, it's the same up here in New York. Except if you don't call 811 beforehand, and you rip up a line, there's huge fines. I don't know what it is down there where you are, but up here, it's massive fines if you get
caught. Yeah, I know it's going to be expensive down here.
Yeah.
It was expensive the other day. I hit a water line, so I hit a water main. I wanted water main. It was not a good Friday afternoon.
No. Well, at least it's warm down there. When water mains break up here, which they do, because up here in the cities and stuff like that, our infrastructure in some of these old cities, some of them are not even metal pipes. Gosh, it's like Orangeburg pipes, kind of like a clay metal whatever, or actually clay that were put in the 1800s. And they never break when it's warm and sunny out. It's always like now when it's in the 20s.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's normally how it goes.
Yeah. So anyway, back on the 811 thing, I didn't realize I was supposed to do a foundation planning for a lady over in across the river from me. But I came. I don't know if you have any tick-borne diseases down there, like Lyme disease or anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got one of them back in October, and it would be like driving iRacing in third gear on a restart is what it felt like. Like being 85-90% there. But anyway, she called and had everything 811 come out. And I didn't realize that there's like a 2-foot tolerance on either side of the line where they spray it. I thought they were pretty accurate. Okay. So anyway, she had natural gas lines, but they were 4 feet deep and pretty much out of her way. So you mentioned you take your family to the racetrack. What kind of racing?
Dirt racing, dirt ovals. It's big down here in the South.
Oh yeah.
We actually have a friend of ours that has a 602 late model, which is the I don't even know what they call it. It used to be Neesmith, but I don't know what it is now. I don't remember the verbiage that they have. We've had a car now for about 5 years or so.
Do you drive?
I ain't crazy enough.
Okay. So
I'm a little more sane than that. I like my life just a little bit more.
yeah, I hear you. I was starting to get worried because my youngest son wanted to do it. He wanted to start with 4 cylinders on dirt, and we've got it. Let me see. Within an hour of where we are, there's 3 tracks. And when our governor had us locked down was it last year? Last year, yeah. And we wanted to go to a dirt track. We had to go to Vermont, which was like 120 miles each way. So we did get to see some races last year, but there's 3 tracks within an hour of us. And he wanted to do 4 cylinders. And I was like, yeah, okay. Better have your own insurance policy because our medical won't cover it. So he talked himself out of that. But I don't know if you've ever seen the 24 Hours of Lemons, which is a kind of a spoof of the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Uh-huh.
So basically what it is, do you have demolition derbies down there?
No, it's not that big down here. That's more of a Midwest thing than a Southern thing.
Okay. Well, if you've ever seen them, how they just take like a piece of crap car, put a roll bar in it, and either weld the door shut or chain them shut, and spray paint them with fake company names. Like one guy had a BMW that he was in a demolition derby up here with, and he spray painted BMW and then underneath "Big Money Wasted," which is pretty funny. So 24 Hours of Lemons is same idea. You can spend like no more than $500 or $600 on the car. It's got to be, the windshield's got to be taken out. You got to have the roll bars, and it's basically a junk fest. And it's either on a lot of times they're on road tracks. So he's got me talked into doing that next year. So we're going to do 2 or 3 of them. We got some friends that are involved in them, and the races go 12 hours each, 8 hours each, and you switch drivers. And one of them last year or this year was on Halloween weekend up at New Hampshire Motor Speedway on their road course. And if you bump into somebody or whatever penalty they give you, your penalty was you had to go down pit road, get out of your car, and carve a pumpkin to the satisfaction of the judges. That was your penalty. All the meanwhile, the judges are in kilts with swords, and they're waving the swords over you going, shame, shame. So and then they do it in Connecticut, and there's a lake with an Indian name about 27 letters long, and you can't go back on the track until you pronounce the name of the lake correctly. But they said it's a hoot, and it just sounds like a lot of fun.
It sounds fun.
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
And that will
be. Not really any. We don't really have any road courses around here. The closest one to us is Birmingham or New Orleans.
Yep. So, is that the team that you crew for?
Yeah. I've been working on the car for, like I said, probably 5 or 6 years now. I done lost count. It was 2015 was the first time we built the car.
No kidding.
We built what they call a factory stock. And man, that was some of the funnest nights we ever had. I'd get off of work at 6, 7 o'clock in the evenings and go to work and go to the shop. And I would leave the shop till midnight some nights.
Oh wow, and, that sounds like fun.
It was a blast. We built the car in 6 weeks, and this is before we got our late model. And we built this car in 6 weeks. Went out first week out, we broke something. I don't even remember what we broke.
Yep.
We put it back together. Went back the next week because this was when one of the local tracks was still running weekly, just about.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we took the thing out, we'd break something. The last time we broke it really well. We broke the A-arm mounts off the frame, and
oh no,
the A-arm ended up into the headers, and dude, it was bad. The tire was twisted all up into the inner fender area right there. It was a mess.
Ugh, how long did it take to fix that one?
We took it apart, put it back together. It was a 1978 Camaro.
Wow.
And I wish I'd have sent you some pictures of it. It was cool. But we put it back together, and we took it to a track that's about 3 hours from here called Magnolia Motor Speedway. We had two of these cars. They were built as close to identical as you could build them.
Oh, that's cool.
And we went up there that weekend, after tearing it all to pieces. We would finish first or second. Ripped the door off the race car. It was wild. Our driver finished the race with no door, no quarter panel.
Oh my gosh!
And still ended up running second.
That
Out of,
I would imagine
he 20-something cars.
I imagine on a dirt track racing around like that with no door, he probably needed to change his pants when he got done with the race.
Luckily, it was the passenger side.
Oh, okay.
Look,
Wow.
we accused him of being faster because the door was off, so he got more downforce because the air was going through the car, so we accused him of being faster.
Oh, that's funny.
Man, it was one of the funnest nights I'd ever had. Then we went to running these late models, and that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Growing pains is all I'm gonna say to that one.
Yeah. So how did you said it was a 67 Camaro?
It was a 78 Camaro.
Oh, 78. How did you find it, and what's the process of turning a street car like that into a dirt car?
We actually bought these cars. They were already converted when we bought them.
Oh, I got it.
They already had the roll cage in them.
Okay.
The interior's good and everything's out of it.
Oh.
For the most part, it's just a roll cage, and the only thing factory left on this car, I think, was the frame, which was a mono, whatever they call them, those little mono frame things, and the roof. The roof was all steel and period correct.
Oh, cool.
But everything else was sheet metal. It was all. There was some pieces of stock sheet metal still on the car, but you couldn't salvage a lot of it. Most of it got turned into that aluminum sheet metal like the dirt late models use now.
Oh, no kidding. So you literally took the sheet metal off and put a new body on it? Because I love to watch cars go fast, and I can drive on iRacing, but that's my extent of knowledge about anything with cars. I look at the setups on iRacing and I say, forget it. You know, because I change the camber on the wheel and my gas cap will pop off. That's my.
I got you. So. Yeah, man. I grew up around cars and stuff like that, and
I grew up in cars, not around them.
My dad was working on stuff all the time.
Oh, I got you.
And I always had a love affair for cars, but as I got older, I was like, I don't like this bending over stuff. I don't like. I'm out.
Yeah.
So it's just a hobby now instead of a career.
I got it. Yeah.
I wished I'd have chased that career some days. I mean, I had offers. I'd applied to go to UTI and all that stuff, and just never did it. And got sidetracked and started doing other stuff, and life went different directions.
Yep, it does. How did you get back into racing when you left it for a while there, or cars? What got you back into cars later in life?
Audio video, actually. So the guy we race with, Brian called me. He said, "Hey, I got speakers out at the racetrack." At that time, he was managing promoting Jackson Motor Speedway, which is just right outside of Jackson here.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Hey, I got speaker issues." He said, "That's what you do for a living." Yeah. He said, "Come by and come down here and see if you can figure out what's wrong with them."
Ah, cool.
So that's how it kind of all cycled back around.
And the bug bit you again.
Oh yeah, man. We started hanging out at the racetrack every weekend and all. And he's like, "Hey, come down here and work, so I don't have to worry about these things not working." So
that's fun.
Started working the racetrack with him, and it led into, "Hey, I want to build a car." Okay. And things went from there. So
what I found, it's a small world. And if you just start hanging around, you start talking to people, you get sucked into it or dragged into it because everybody wants to help and show you what they do and like that. So I've done some commercial photography, and my son started picking it up, and he's going to be shooting for a couple of teams next year. One of them is possibly an ARCA startup team. And he's also going to be doing some at dirt tracks and such like that. We both volunteer over at Lime Rock Park, which is about an hour from us. We go over there
Gotcha.
on. We go over there. They have 3 major weekends where they have a volunteer crew comes in, and it's Trans Am Series, IMSA, and then their Historics weekend, which is all the old cars. So we do anything from making sure the drivers get to the podium if they win. I got dragged in this year to hand out hats at the finish line. And like, yeah, that's easy. And they go, no, it's not. Because when they come down pit road, you got to know which car it is and how fast they're going. And then make sure when you're coming back across it, no one's coming down the other way at 70 miles an hour. So it was pretty cool. So we have a lot of fun.
That sounds fun, actually.
Oh, it is. It's great. But like I said, that's as close as I've gotten to actually driving anything besides iRacing until we do this 24 Hours of Lemons next year. It'll be a hoot. I have a feeling it's going to happen. I have my doubts, but probably a year from now, we'll be talking about how I managed to destroy the car or destroy somebody else's car. But it sounds like
That sounds entertaining.
Yeah, it does.
I drove our factory stock when we finished it. I ran probably 5, 10, maybe 12 laps at the most.
Oh, that's cool.
But man, I wasn't on the throttle with it. I didn't have a helmet on that fit correctly.
Oh, I gotcha.
So every time I go down the racetrack, the helmet would bounce. So I'd lose my sight for a minute.
Oh no, that's not good.
It was like, no, I'm not fixing to tear this thing up. We just put it together, and I don't want to destroy it.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
When you got a big head and you're using a guy's helmet that's got a smaller head than you, it's never a good thing.
No, it's not. Only time I've been on a track, I got to drive my Toyota Tacoma on Lime Rock. What they have is they call them like a charity lap. You throw $20 in towards a charity. You get in line. The pace car takes you around, and I was doing 75 in my truck on Lime Rock on the front stretch. And as you know, with road courses, there's not a lot of room to pass. And we're in single file, and I'm like, this is fast enough. I said, I'm done. And then we went up to IMSA this year at Watkins Glen, and we were going to go anyway, but I entered the IMSA contest, and we got free tickets. We got into the WeatherTech hospitality tent, and I got a chance. Actually, I got a ride in the new Toyota Supra, 2 laps going around Watkins Glen. And I don't know if you ever know Watkins Glen, that they have I call it the backstretch, just before the bus stop. And the guy's narrating while we're driving. He says, and here we go. We're going to the bus stop. We're at 149 miles an hour. Here's the bus stop. Whoop, we're doing 70. And the G-force was unbelievable. I was laughing the whole two minutes around the track. It was so cool, going 130, 140 miles an hour in a little Toyota Supra. It was great.
That sounds cool.
Oh, excuse me. Cold or whatever coming up again.
Yeah.
So
I understand it's got cold down here right now. So.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. What's cold down there?
What?
What's the temperature down there?
It is. Last time I looked, it was low 40s.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cold for down there. I'll give you that. I think we were in the 50s today, and it was in the 20s over the weekend.
We're at 45 right now, and the low is supposed to be warming up. Actually, not getting any colder.
All right, I'll give you that.
We'll be back in the 80s by the weekend.
Oh, I don't want to hear it.
If it gets cold down here, it's going to be snowing usually, and that don't happen till late January, early February.
Oh, gotcha.
And we've even had snow in April down here.
No kidding.
Yeah, it snowed like the 1st of April a couple of years ago.
Wow. Usually April we're done with snow up here. I used to go down to Atlanta every winter, like 2 weeks after Christmas was done, to when like we were talking before, I was in the lawn and garden business. I was a hard goods buyer, buying the fertilizer and all that stuff. And we go to Atlanta, and I figure out Atlanta, it's nice down there. It's going to be warm. We got in Atlanta, and it was during a cold spell. And I'm waiting for the train in the morning to go in, because we stayed outside of Atlanta. And it was 1 below 0, and all I had on was a light windbreaker, and it was windy, and I was freezing. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then they come out with, well, the trains are running slow because the steel on the, if you're in a warm climate like that and it gets cold, it kind of makes sense. You think, steel contracts. So they were afraid that the rails were getting smaller because of the cold. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've been on Amtrak up here when it's been 20 below zero. They don't slow down because the tracks are shrinking. And then I remembered we had a heat wave once, and I was coming back from Baltimore on a train, and they were slowing the trains down because they thought the tracks were expanding too much. And I'm like, okay, just a difference in the weather and the location where you are.
That's crazy.
It is. So tell me a little bit about, actually a lot about Apex Sim Racing and your E-Series Showdown. What kind of cars, what kind of tracks, how long have you been doing it?
Apex Sim Racing the E-Series Showdown started just last year. And I got to say thank you to Jimmy at Apex Sim Racing Custom Products. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we are probably now.
Cool.
So I'll back up before I go too far with it. I'll tell you how all this got started.
Good, go ahead. We got all night.
So about a year ago now, a little over a year ago now, right at probably a year and a half now, Aaron Hancock and myself started. Actually, I knew Aaron. He lives around the corner from me and all this. I knew Aaron for a little while, but didn't know him very well. And I posted an Instagram picture of one of my cars off of iRacing. I don't even remember which one it was. And Aaron shot me a message. He said, "Hey, you run iRacing?" I said, "Yeah, I just got into it about 6 weeks ago or so, a month ago. So it wasn't long." And he said, "Yeah, I got one too."
Well, that's cool.
Oh, really? Now, and it just started going from there. And we were both different I ratings, different SR ratings, and it was like, man, we can't ever get a race where we can actually race together. So we were sitting there one night. We were just finished running some races, and I had spotted for him, or he was spotting for me. I don't remember how all the circumstances came about. And Aaron goes, "We just need to start a league. That way we can run together, and we can find some other folks, meet some other folks, and run with them, and just kind of get a little deeper into it."
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's do that. So as it progressed, I didn't even know Aaron had done all the prep work and all this. And he goes, "Hey, we got a league race starting." Say this was September, October, maybe, or even August. I don't remember the exact time frame. And he goes, "We got a league race. We're gonna do 6 races this season, and we called it the Po-Man Truck Series." The first race, I actually missed the first race because I was doing something else. Just was like, man, I'm not going to get in there on the computer. I don't really want to race tonight. Had a bad day.
Yep.
I was off in my own little world. I was like, man, I don't even want to race. Y'all have fun. I'll race the next one. I wish I'd have raced that first race because I'd have had a shot at a championship if I'd have run the first race. But the first race was 5 guys, I think, and 4 of which maybe that first season still race all together.
That's cool.
As the season went along, it was like 6 races. So we added 4 or 5 more drivers each time. I think we ended up with like 8 at the end of the season. And I believe when I counted it up at the end of this last season with after we changed the name to Apex, I believe there was 6 of us or 7 of us that still ran just about every race in Apex, from the original 8 or whatever it was then. And it's just grown from there. We did 2 seasons of Po-Man trucks. And a guy by the name of Alex Feith won the first season. Alex played the points right to get it. And then Aaron won the second championship. And then as things progressed, we added more folks and kept adding more folks. Aaron's uncle actually races with us, and he started buying Apex sim equipment and setting his rig up and when he built his rig. So, side note, chasing rabbits here. I told you earlier I have ADD.
No, that's fine.
as we were
Thanks.
as we all helped Tracy put his rig together and everything, he sorry, I had to turn the fan on. Had to reach across top of the computer to reach the fan. As Tracy was putting his rig together, he started looking for button boxes and all this, and he went above and beyond where all of us were. We were all, Aaron and I both had a sim racing chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, Aaron had a desk at the time when we first started Po-Man.
That's how we started, on a desk with a laptop.
That's pretty much what Aaron had. He had a desktop and a desk, and that was it.
Been there, done
how
that.
I got into this, my wife and I had been talking about it, and had some other buddies that raced locally and all, and it's like, hey, man, I don't have time to do that. My kids keep me busy. I got so much happening. I mean, we had the real race car at the time, and last year we didn't race very much, so it freed up a lot of time. I was like, oh, well, let's get a rig. Well, my wife said, okay, let's get a rig. So we got a rig, and it was actually the stimulus check, man. I was still working through the pandemic, so I had my stimulus check there. So well, let's use it. So we built one with the stimulus check, the first stimulus check, and that's how we got into sim racing. So Tracy had been talking to Jimmy at Apex about sponsoring the league. Well, we didn't when we first started the Apex side of it. We didn't want to just throw the league out there and say, "Hey, we're broadcasted," and all this, because you get a lot of folks just jumping in because of the word broadcasted.
Exactly. Yep.
So we wanted to make the racing product, as good as we could get it. We wanted to get a good group of guys together and start having some really good races. Well, we did that. We've had our growing pains along the way. We've had some guys that didn't work out, some guys that probably shouldn't have worked out, but somehow or another pulled it together and made it work. But our first couple of races, man, at Apex, we were like, what did we do? Because they were a disaster.
Yeah.
The first race at Daytona was just junk.
Oh, Daytona, yeah. We do Daytona as recruiting races, or Talladega. It brings the people in, but it also brings the yellow flags out too.
It does. It brings a lot of yellow flags out. Well, our very first Apex race was a clash type race, just so everybody could get used to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we were running down a back straightaway. There's 5 teams in Apex that actually have drivers that start, or try to have drivers start every week, so that we have at least, there's supposed to be 5 team members. Some of them have 4. So we tried for a field of a minimum 24.
Mm-hmm.
And the first season we were averaging 20 to 22.
Yep.
But that first race we had almost 30, 34, 35 in Daytona for a fun race, basically, for the league. And to get to know everybody, and some of us hadn't run together, so we were trying to just mingle everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
We had a few drivers that thought going 3 wide on lap 2 was a terrific idea.
Yeah.
And we ended up with the whole entire field piled up on the back straightaway.
Yep. We had, it sounds like some of our recruiting races were...
it was miserable.
Yeah.
And Aaron and I both, we sat there and talked after the race. We were like, dude, if this is the way this is, I don't know if we'll ever broadcast this league.
So how did you fix that problem?
It's a self-correcting action, actually. Sometimes you embarrass somebody enough when they wreck the infield like that, because, man, a lot of our guys run several different leagues, and we pretty much have a sister league called the Original Rebels Racing League.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are a trip over there. Man, we race with probably half that league in our league, and it it's a great group of guys. They had a lot of great races, and as we weeded out some of the folks that just didn't mesh with their style of racing and our style of racing, as we just kind of combined everything together, it started leveling out on its own for the most part.
It seems to. Yeah.
Man, we have a lot of races. We run 100 laps every Thursday night, and a lot of these races are good caution free unless somebody just makes a mistake and gets in too hot or gets in too deep.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Just ADD kicks in, and we don't get but probably 2 or 3 at the most 4 cautions. Last week was Pocono. We had 4 cautions, I think. And Pocono's a hard track to race at.
It is.
And it was probably one of the best finishes we've had in a while.
Cool.
We ran at Rockingham this year, which was different. A lot of folks had never run Rockingham till we got till the 3rd race of the season this season. But once you get people meshing together, you usually figure out everybody's driving styles and who's going to dive in on you. And we pretty much let a lot of it police ourselves. We didn't want to go in and have a bunch of rules.
Right.
It said, if you touch somebody like F1, if you touch somebody, it's a 3-lap penalty. And so on like that. We've had to give some warnings and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's not been too bad.
Yeah, we hadn't
kicked anybody out yet for rough driving.
All right, we've had to. Well, this is our 3rd season. 3rd season with trucks, 3rd season with cup cars, and I think in the 3 seasons we've only had to kick, I think, 2 or 3 people out, and a lot of that comes from during the recruiting races, which we've got 21 recruiting races scheduled between this Sunday and the first of the year, because we're operating 4 leagues now. And we'll probably pick up, I'm guessing, for the Cup League, we have a maximum field of 35. Never had that many. We've been doing like 20 to 22 cars, kind of like you guys do there. We'll probably pick up 5 new drivers. We'll probably lose a couple. Trucks, we're looking to build the field from an average of 10 up to around 15. Formula V on road courses, I think, is going to be a hit because there's a lot of road course drivers out there, and the Formula V is a fun car to drive. Do you have any?
Never driven those cars.
Oh, it is. Try the Formula V if you've like Indy or F1, and it's this little pocket rocket. It is so cool to drive, and the coolest thing about it's funny is when I drive over at Lime Rock on the Formula V on iRacing, you go off the track and you go through the grass and you can see the 2 tires are right there in front of you, all the blades of grass on the tires. That's how great the graphics are. Some of it, it's just funny to look at it and say, wow, I got to mow the lawn. So what are your requirements to join the league? Do you have an iRating cap, a safety rating thing, or if somebody wants to join, how do they get in? What do they have to do?
So the easiest way is to follow us through one of our recruiting races. We haven't got the Facebook page put up yet. Like I said, we're steadily growing, but a lot of it's just word of mouth. And our drivers will, when they see somebody looking for, say, a league on Facebook or something, some of our drivers will tag Aaron or myself and say, hey, send these guys some information and all this. And a lot of them will check out and make sure before they get into the league. They might get approved for Discord, but they may not get far enough to even apply for the league once we figure out who they are.
Yeah.
And it all depends on, there's no iRating cap. It's more of just a C license, because you have to have a C license to drive the trucks on iRacing anyway. So we set the iRacing cap to a C, the safety rating to a C.
Right. And do they have to audition or required to go through any recruiting races? Or
we prefer it, but if it's somebody that's following through, say it's one of the Rebels guys that wants to race with us, usually they get approved and nobody says anything, because they race with a lot of us on just about any night of the week. Rebels runs every night. I think there's a race of some sorts. And so we picked up a lot of them there. We've got guys from there. Aaron was actually supposed to run a race tonight, but with the iRacing glitch, being down all day, the league they were running was Tuesday race nights or something like that. It used to be trucks, TRUCK. I mean TRUCS.
Okay, I've seen that league.
Dylan and them ran a pretty good league over there. Some of us got out of it through some things, but Aaron was supposed to race with them tonight, but with the cancellation of the race, it just kind of was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
And we picked up some guys from over there. This season we've added some more guys from the MPI Cup League. We had a couple of them already, and it's just kind of grown by word of mouth, more or less. It's been interesting to see some of the cast of characters, man. We went from having just one or two aliens in the field. Now we got probably a dozen aliens. Making a top 10, you got to be up on the wheel and really get with it to get a top 10 these days.
Yeah, we're starting to get that way. We have an iRating cap of 2,000 and license rookie 2.0 to A 4.0. And we've seen some drivers that have started last year. It's funny, we have a father and two sons that race together, and they're both admins in the leagues, and we expanded. We have 7 admins now. We had 4, but it's just too much for me to do by myself, especially with all the new leagues we've got going. And the one guy, Anthony, he said to his father, "Hey, you gotta race with us. It's a lot of fun." And he's like, "I'm not," because Anthony I think he's around 30, and his father is 56. I'm 59, so we're pretty close in age. And he's like, "I'm not playing those stupid video games. I'll race on Sundays, and that's it. I'm not going to practice. I'm not going to do this." Next thing you know, he's like, "Can we do a truck league?" So he's running the truck league. He's an admin in the league, and their team is Anthony, his father, and a guy from Virginia, and then a neighbor of theirs. And you should see them all week long. They're practicing all week, and they're coming up with their pit strategies. And it's so funny that he said he wasn't going to race except just every other Sunday or something like that, and now he's like gung ho and taking charge of the league. So,
it's amazing how quick it'll grab you and suck you in. I mean, we go through stages where we don't want to race, or you just get burnt out because you're having a terrible season.
Yeah,
we have a father-son duo that races with us in Apex. Alex and Mike both. Alex started racing with us actually our first season, and was the first season champ.
Cool.
And his dad, about maybe a year ago now, decided he was going to get a wheel and start kind of dabbling with racing with us. And it's progressed. We got the unique one of a nephew and an uncle racing together.
Ah, okay.
So Aaron's uncle Tracy races with us, which is, there's 4 admin over here. There's Aaron and myself, Chris McLean, and Tracy Passons. And Tracy and Aaron was talking about it at work to Tracy, and Tracy's like, "Man, I used to run the Open Pirates racing leagues and stuff like that. I might want to get back into it."
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Apex came about. I was telling half of that story earlier, where Tracy got to talking to Jimmy at Apex.
Yeah.
And we were looking for some help with broadcasting and stuff like that, and that's Apex came on and said, "Well, we'll let you use our likeness as you grow the league and all this, and just tell you guys not to do anything stupid, and with our logos on the cars and stuff, and just be mindful of what they do and represent us correctly."
Speaking of that, we had what do you do with in-race incidents? Do you, for instance, in our league, we have we call it one and done. Somebody wrecks you, you get wrecked. You call him a dumbass, he calls you a dumbass, and then you go on or you apologize. Guy I had on last week, because his sponsor is a personal friend that runs a company out in California. And
Uh-huh.
he said he doesn't allow any of that. You call somebody a dumbass, you get a warning to get muted for the race. How do you handle in-race arguments?
A lot of times we'll end up muting you if you get too out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
We just try to remind everybody, hey, look, keep race comms clean. Y'all can there's a channel in our Discord that's called the Apex Hauler.
Mm-hmm.
You can click over in there and you can go to yelling all you want.
Got it.
And a lot of it we'll get occasionally some things that happen like that, and for the most part, you'll end up getting a warning for being on race comms, and if you do it again, we got level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 penalties.
Okay.
Level 1's just a warning. Level 2's a EOL the next race.
Ah.
Level 3 is a week suspension, and level 4, you're fired.
Wow. So you didn't sneak on my Discord and take mine, did you? Because that's exactly what we have. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Aaron and I got to talking about it. We were like,
Yeah.
let's see what we can do about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not too bad.
Yeah, but you gotta have to have something, otherwise they'll.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, it just gets out of hand.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought.
Oh, and so you're. Oh, what? I'm sorry. What night of the week you race on?
Thursday nights.
Thursday night.
Usually every Thursday night, but we take the holidays off. We take all the major holidays off if they happen to be on a Thursday night.
Yeah, we do too.
We were off for Thanksgiving this past season, or this 2 weeks ago now, and we're taking the week of Christmas off and the week of New Year's off.
Got it.
Just because everybody's traveling and stuff like that, we felt like it was best. And us Southern boys down here, we're gonna try to go hunting some.
Oh, I don't blame you.
So you never know when we're around or not around. So it works out to give us some time away from it.
There's a lot of guys up here that hunt. Deer hunting and duck hunting is pretty big right around here, and there was some disease that the deer got. I don't know how deer are down there, but up here they are as common as bunny rabbits and stupid people. They're like everywhere. But
man, I could walk out my front door right now and probably see some deer out on the power line over there if I shine the spotlight across there.
Yeah. So they got some disease.
Is CWD, chronic waste disease?
No, we had that about 10 years ago. This was something else. I forget what it is, but it makes.
We just started getting chronic waste disease about 5 years ago or so down here.
Okay, it's been up here for quite a while, but I want to say it's from a bite of a tick or a mosquito-borne disease, and they basically they stop eating. And they go near water, and we live in a private lake community. The rich people live on the lake. Those of us that mow their lawns live off the lake. And
I know how that goes.
Yep. And all of a sudden, they pulled 35 deer out of our lake this year from that disease, and there's like none around. I could go out back in the morning, and I have a couple apple trees out back, as well as my big vegetable garden. And they're like, it's like a 6-point, 8-point buck just sitting there eating the apples off the tree, look right at you, do that snort that they do with their and then stomp the ground, then go back to eating. And now we're like, oh, there's a deer. It's like unique to see them again. They practically disappeared.
Wow. Yeah. No, we don't have that problem down here. Ours,
okay.
You see them quite regular down here.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like I said,
I never realized there was that many till just a few years ago. And it's you got to be careful down here at night, because if you're not, you're going to run into one.
Yep, that was a big thing when they go.
I've hit one, and it's not fun.
No, it's not. And now we've got moose in the area. You hit a 200-pound deer, that's one thing. You hit a 1,000-pound moose, that's a totally different thing.
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. No, we don't have any moose down here. We got the, I guess you'd call the equivalent to that maybe, is a wild hog. You can get some pretty big wild hogs down here.
Oh, those things are nasty.
Yes, they are. Very nasty.
They're good eating, but they do a lot of damage.
They do. That's one of the things you can hunt just about year round down here.
Yep.
deer you can only hunt from November to January, but
Yeah, that's kind of like up here. And then the time you got to watch out for them up here is like October, November when they go into what they call the rut or their mating season, and then they're all over the place.
yeah, our rut down here is it's getting ready to start here in the next couple of weeks. It'll be through the end of hunting season down here through the end of January.
Ah, cool. So tell me about
but anyway, back to Apex.
Yeah, back to racing. Points. What type of points you use in scoring, and then tell me about your playoffs.
Okay, so points. We do the NASCAR scoring.
Okay.
We use SimHub, which was Dan Lisa before.
Yep.
And everything's run through that. So you get bonus points for leading the lap. You get bonus points as usual for winning the race. I think it's 3 extra bonus points for winning the race, and a bonus point for leading the lap. Bonus point for a clean race. If you finish with 0 X's, you'll get a bonus point. But if you get 12 X's, you'll get a bonus point taken away.
Okay.
There's a couple other ones. I don't remember all the bonus points that we actually have in there.
So how do you get the scoring over to SimHub? Do you download off of your results off of iRacing right to them, or how do you do that?
It does. It just you can download it straight from iRacing and send it right over to
okay.
SimHub.
Yep.
And it makes it real nice. It puts it all in one place. And
yes.
Adding and subtracting points. If you have to penalize somebody, you can go in there and take points out pretty easily.
Yep.
If you have to add some points or remove something like incident points, we've had some incidents where we've had to remove incident points because the entire field would have had a negative point, and or more.
Yeah.
So there was one race, golly, I bet I had like 30 incident points.
Oh,
and
wow.
That would have been two points lost because it's every 12. And it was just one of the bad nights. Full moon at Bristol. It was
yep.
Oof, it was bad.
That'll do it. Now, how do you do your playoffs, and how many do you have eliminations like in NASCAR does it, like a 16, 8, and a 4? How do you do your playoffs?
We do.
Okay.
Last season it was just one race each playoff where you had it was 2 races, I believe. And it was 16, 8, 16, 10, and 8, I believe.
Okay.
And then 4.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on that. I don't. Hold on, I can tell you. I can go back and look. It's on my Discord right here. Give me just a second.
Nope, that's fine. We use. I used to do the scoring manually. I would download it from iRacing onto Excel, which I am terrible on. And we talking it before we went on the air, talking about our issues, and I have like a mild case of dyslexia, and I'd get the points done. I'd go post them on the Discord page, and somebody would go, Greg, I think you missed a line again. So I had put them, let's say we've got 18 drivers, and I would put on one line points 1 through 18, and the next column, which we did driver ratings, they went from like line 2 to 19. It's just like, they're like, yeah, I got to do it all over again. So it was never fun.
It was 16, 8, 4, and the champion at the end.
Okay.
Last season's champion was actually one of our admin, Chris McLean.
Yeah.
It was an interesting Final Four race. I think every championship leader or every contender for the Final Four for the championship in the Final Four led that race at some point,
that's cool.
Was in the back of the pack at some point that race.
Yeah. Wow.
It was wild, man. I was sitting there. I don't remember if I ran the race or if I was adminning that race, just adminning it, but I think I got wrecked out of it actually. And you were sitting there watching it unfold, and it's like, okay, so McLean's out front, and Ray Rogers was behind him. That was one of the other guys. Garrett Kinder and Aaron both were in the Final Four. Well, I look up and score, and Ray's running third, Chris is leading, and Kinder's running fifth or so. And it was like, okay, who's going to win this? And all of a sudden we had a round of pit stops that where green flag stops and a caution comes out, and it screwed the entire field up.
Yep.
It was just a mess. It was one of them iRacing glitches when in the middle of all of it. So you had guys laps down, you had guys that weren't laps down.
Mm.
And then you had guys that were getting wave around and catching fields, and man, that got heated after that race because we
I
had
can
to extend
imagine.
the caution, and so everybody could catch the field at Phoenix. On the short track, it's not so bad. You can catch the field on
the big ones now.
Lap, but Phoenix, man, those guys were full song and still on the back straight, or still in the middle of the dog leg at that time because the Phoenix wasn't open, updated.
Yeah.
And they were still in the middle of the dog leg. And we were fixing to go green, and it's like, this ain't gonna be good.
Nope. Oh, speaking of iRacing glitches, the one that everybody that I've had on the show here talks about is you're going down pit road under a yellow, and you can't see the cars on the track, and you get a black flag for passing under yellow. Do you clear those?
No. Well, when we were running live race control, we didn't because the live race control could watch it. We don't have a live race control every race.
Yeah.
The passing under the yellow penalties, the only time we clear them is if you are passing somebody underpowered and catching the field.
Okay.
If you did under caution like that and you pass the person to your outside, it depends on if one of us realizes, hey, you're not catching the field now, so
yep,
it'll be no, they can't clear that one, or what'd you do to get that?
Right.
And if we'll go back and review it if at the end of the race, if we see something that's not right on the review, or somebody points it out to us through we have a protest form on our Discord. And if we get a protest form, we'll go back and review the incident that's protested and drivers protested. And a lot of the drivers are like, well, it's not worth filling it out because all they're going to get is an EOL or slap on a wrist or whatever. It's like, well, you can't let the protest can't work if you don't use the form.
Exactly.
So the only black flags we actually clear are passing under the yellow for damaged vehicles, and if you get forced down pit road to dodge an accident, or you're dodging an accident and run down pit road at full song, we'll clear those penalties.
Yeah.
For the most part, you do the time, you do the crime, you're gonna do the time.
Yeah, we used to clear them for the passing under yellow. This year, we decided not to because it got to be. We didn't want to get to the point where we would have people speeding down pit road and saying, well, I got a yellow or a black for passing under yellow, so we didn't do it. But we had one situation this year where it was late in the race, and one of the cars was low on fuel, and we had a caution come out, and that car didn't make it down pit lane, didn't even make it to the entrance, and then everybody started getting black flags. So I'm an admin, I drive, and all our admins drive, and so I just got on the mic and said, hey, I think we got to do something here, and it says permission from the admins to clear that black flag because of the car running out of fuel causing the incident. And it was like, yeah, unanimous, no problem. So we had our preseason meeting. Yeah, we're not going to clear any black flags, no reason. And all of a sudden something comes up. Well, it wasn't my fault that guy ran out of gas and I passed him under caution. So there's always exceptions.
There is. There's always exceptions. We got rid of our yellow flag rule. The admin used to throw every yellow flag just about it. If iRacing didn't, well, we no longer do admin cautions because we had a race a couple months ago that is back at the beginning of the actual 2021, where the field was on different strategies. Well, caution came out, driver said don't throw the caution, and the caution ended up getting thrown by one of the admin, and it worked out to this particular team's favor to end up winning the race over, and it was a big mess. So
I could see that.
to keep that from happening again, we went to no admin cautions unless it's just something we see and iRacing doesn't throw it.
Yeah.
We had an incident where one of our drivers got spun down to the bottom at Martinsville. He's sitting at the bottom of the racetrack. We're still whizzing by at full speed. He's sitting sideways in the middle at the bottom of the track, backwards. And it's like, he has nowhere to go. He can't turn around. He can't go to pit road.
Not at Martinsville.
He can't move because if he backs up, he's going to be in the field.
Yep.
And it would not throw the caution for nothing. I think we ran 5 to 7 laps with it like that.
Yeah.
And we finally had to throw the caution just so he could move because he wasn't going to back out and wreck the entire field.
Yeah. Especially at Martinsville.
So there's exceptions to everything.
Sure.
And we try to be fair.
Yeah. We got lucky this year. We went down to Martinsville for an Halloween weekend for the last race before the championship week.
Yeah, the championship race.
And we were right down front when Bowman and Hamlin went at it. I got it literally 10 feet in front of us. It was unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
It was so cool. And then we were there when
that was really cool.
We were there, the day before. The guy handed Noah Gregson a beer through the fence. And he drinks it and throws the bottle up in the air. Oh, what a great weekend! That was
oh, wow.
That was the craziest.
That sounds really fun. Actually.
Oh, it's great.
It's been a long time since I've been to a race. I haven't been to a race since I was 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
93 was my last race. And NASCAR race. I've been to a lot of dirt track races, but
yeah, we used to go to a lot of the dirt track stuff. We did not get to the dirt tracks this year. We went to where do you go? Of course, we went to Lime Rock 3 times. We went to the modifieds over at Stafford in Connecticut. We went up to IMSA in Watkins Glen. Then I think we hit 4 NASCAR races this year. Normally it's about 3 that we go to.
We didn't go to as many races as we normally do. We went to probably, I really think I only took the kids to 1 race this year, and that was to the World Outlaw Sprint Car Race over in Monroe, Louisiana.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
It's an asphalt track they covered with dirt, so it's really fast, really fun to watch. And the kids had never seen the 410s on the racetrack. They've seen the 360s and all that, but they've never seen the 410s.
Yeah.
And so we took them over there for that, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only race they went to this year.
No kidding.
I don't think we went to any other race.
It's funny how that happens. You get into a cycle of going, and then something like COVID comes along, and you want to go, but you just seem to like go in a different direction. We didn't go to 1 dirt track this year. We normally go 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, we were usually going once or twice a month racing. So
wow.
And now we didn't even take the race car to the track at all this year. We did right at the end of last year. We ran 4 races last year and went through 4 noses on that late model. So we said enough was enough, and this year just life in general got in the way of everything.
Yep.
And we didn't race at all. It was kind of surprising.
That it does.
We went. I haven't been to the shop in almost a year.
Oh wow.
That's how crazy it was. I walked in the shop for the first time this past November, just a couple weeks ago, and we put the car together and went and made some practice laps just to see if it'd turn laps, and that's as far as we've done it.
Wow.
Put it back on the lift and drain the water out of it. Got it ready for winter.
Hey, before I forget about it, you got your own design business going on there. Tell me about 1-inch designs. What do you do? How did you get started with that?
So 1-inch designs. Years ago, I used to do a little bit of playing with Photoshop and stuff like that. So I was like, I know a little bit about this. Well, Matt Rogers, a good friend of ours that we race with, he started doing his own paint schemes and started talking about it. And we all kind of bounced around with it, looking at it. I sat there one night and watched Matt build a paint scheme. And I was like, dude, I can do that. So I started asking him questions and learning how to do it. And over the last 6-8 months, it's turned into, I probably do 5 or 6 a month sometimes, and that's not counting my own. I mean, I change paint schemes. Like I change underwear probably every other week. I have a different paint
love
scheme.
doing
I'll
paint
dream up
schemes.
something else.
Yeah, always changing them.
And 1-inch Designs actually came from it's a play on words. So my name is Just In. So I was like, well, a lot of things. I mean, it's just barely in. So that's where the 1-inch came from. There's a few other references, but we're not going to go there.
I don't know. I don't want to know. TMI. Too much information.
That avenue. I came from construction, so
I know.
I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
And so that's where that came. That's how that got started, and it's just progressed to where it's my relaxing thing. Racing aggravates me some weeks, so I'll go build a paint scheme before I'll get on my rig and drive, and that's probably a bad thing. But paint schemes are more relaxing than racing.
Yeah,
to me, some nights.
I do my paint. I do my paint schemes on trading paints, and sometimes that program can be not too user friendly.
I quit. I tried trading paints one time, and I was like, I can't do it. I use GIMP more than anything else, and I just got Photoshop again this last week, and trying to figure it out. And like, man, I can do this, this, and this in GIMP. Why can't I do it in Photoshop this way? So it's been a learning curve.
Yeah. How easy is GIMP? Because I've downloaded it, but I'm one of those ones where if there's not a button that says start here, I get all frustrated, and then the anxiety attack comes in. How easy is GIMP?
GIMP's actually really easy. Okay. If I'm trying, I can do one in 30 minutes or less. Usually, it's that easy because everything just piles in there as layers, and you can shape it, and move it, and select things. And there's a lot of YouTube tutorials on how to use GIMP, which makes it really nice. Okay. And a few hours of watching videos and talking to Matt, and started playing with it. And I got probably, I bet 6 or 8 trucks in the field each week on Thursday nights.
What do you charge for a design?
$10 usually.
It's reasonable.
There's several that I'm like, hey man, look, just run my paint scheme just so I can get some more work out of it. Yeah. And but usually it's only $10 and $5 an additional scheme, and sometimes I'll do a night scheme for somebody and just be like, hey, don't worry about it. It was already there, and I thought about it, and the inverted paint scheme looked cool to me, so I just sent it to you too.
That's cool.
I'm not in it to get rich.
Yeah.
It's a pretty competitive market according to some other designers, but to me, it's just fun. It's relaxing.
Yeah, it is competitive because there's a lot of guys out there doing them for $5. I've had some other guys on here that charge $30 to $50 for them. And if you look at, if you're going to try to make a living on it, you've got to get $25, $30, $50 for a design. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. You can't make it.
Oh no, you can't.
$10 a design.
The most I paid for a design was $25 for a paint scheme, and that was before I knew how to do them. I haven't bought one in almost a year, 8-9 months now.
Yep.
So, and each one gets better every time you do it. You find something different every time.
That's true.
Spec maps are a whole other animal.
Yeah, I can't. Is the spec maps? That's for the
chrome and metallic colors and flat colors. And
I was on one of the Facebook groups for trading paints, and they're all talking about the chrome, and I said, where do you do this? Oh, you got to put a spec map on. I'm like, yeah, then what do you do? And then I could, it's just like, never mind, I'm not going to do it. It just got to be too complicated and too frustrating.
It's really not as hard as it sounds when you get when you get into it.
Yep.
It's not bad at all. All it is you click the spec map layer and you pull it up and you make whatever you want chrome or shiny, you paint it red, and anything you want flat, you paint it lime green.
Oh, no kidding.
And then you change the format as car spec dot whatever your iRacing number is, and you throw it over into the document folder for iRacing's paints
Oh,
on
okay.
that particular vehicle. And iRacing does this whole wizardy thing where it puts it together and gives you an MIP file, or a map file, and you take that map file and you put it over in the Trading Paints when you upload it, and that's how Trading Paints knows to put the spec map on there.
Got it. Well,
it's really not hard. After I figured it out, I was scared of it when I first did first paint schemes and all. I was like, man, I don't get this. And
yeah, I couldn't figure it for the
I
life.
sat down one weekend. I said, I'm gonna figure these spec maps out. Started doing it.
Yeah.
I don't put them on every ride, but there's a good many of them I'll throw a spec map on just to change the colors a little bit.
Sure.
And that's how you make silver, and you can get that really, really flat black that's beautiful.
Yes. Oh, that thing is, it looks like a prototype car almost.
It is. It gets it that detailed. And on the Xfinity cars with that carbon fiber body, if you get it flat enough, you can actually see the carbon in the body.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it makes some pretty paint schemes. Yeah. It's been an interesting road. Learning a lot of learning curves, a lot of late evenings going, how do you make this decal fit this car? And
yep.
finding designs and putting designs together. And I started doing all our logos for Apex this season, and actually started doing a few other logos. You see on these logos on here, my 1-inch Designs is on there. The Passing Specialized Services, which is Aaron and Tracy's, the company Aaron and Tracy work for. That logo, I had to replicate their actual logo. Nobody had it, so I built that one off of a business card, actually.
No kidding.
It was pretty interesting that night. The couple of nights I did that one. The peg leg polo award design, that's one of our drivers, Chuck. His nickname from the military is Peg Leg, so Chuck wanted to sponsor the league. He's our polo award, so it's like, all right, I'll do you some some kind of cool design. And that was fitting. Big burly military guy. That's the three that I've done on there. The Absolute Product Design, that's a company that my dad started about 5 years ago, or Absolute Product Solutions, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
It's his company, and I made him kick in $25 to sponsor the last lap of the race.
And
so
what
to
type
help with some broadcasting and stuff, it's the icing the competition because he sells ice machines. So.
Okay. Hence the blue and white design on the logo.
Hence the blue and white on the logo. Correct. Yep. I actually don't think I got that $25 back from him yet.
Uh-oh.
And we talked about the Burkhalter recycling and demolition earlier before we got on the air. That's our hard charger award. Each week there's a hard charger, and I think there's going to be an overall hard charger at the end of the year.
Yeah, we have one at the end of the season. A couple of awards like that. We have week 6. Whoever the new driver is with the most points, they win a Joe Six-Pack Racing T-shirt. And then the most improved driver from last season, the hard charger, they get a custom Joe Six-Pack gym bag.
That's cool. Yeah, we actually sent out a trophy for our championship guys. It's a little trophy that looks like the guy's driving he has a steering wheel and a helmet on, and he's laying in a lazy boy.
That's cool.
Aaron found this trophy online somewhere. I
have
no idea where he found it, but he found this
cool.
trophy, and that's what we send to all the champions. We sent Alex one. We sent Aaron's got his at his sitting by his rig, and I believe he sent Chris one this last season.
That's pretty cool. Speaking of, do you guys have any dues to get in for like a prize fund, or is it all?
Yeah, we have a $10 league fee that helps with all the broadcasting, and the sponsors help kick in money to help pay for some broadcasting.
Gotcha.
We have it to where you can sponsor a race to help with some broadcasting stuff and overall league expenses. And
because
this past season, Apex gave away, or helped us out on a button box for the championship.
Ah, cool.
Kyle Roberts Designs, which is the leather logo that's on right there at the bottom of the word Showdown.
Yep.
He actually created a wallet for Chris, and it has his initials and his the number 5 on the back of it. It's a really nice wallet. I should have sent you some pictures of it. I have them. I apologize for not sending them to you.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I didn't even think to talk about it.
Yeah.
Just sitting here looking at I have the sponsor sheet up on my screen. And
that's what I've got. Yep.
Was going through them.
Yep.
So the 5 logos across the very bottom of it on the sponsor page, that is actually the 5 team logos for the 5 teams that are locked in as charter teams, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
I
was going to ask you about those, if they were other leagues you were in or where they came from.
So I looked through our Discord and actually found the logos for each of the teams and stuck them on the bottom of it.
Oh, okay.
Each team has 4 to 5 drivers, and their points all count towards a team point fund, which is, I think there's some kind of prize this season for team championship. I don't really remember. I may be wrong on that, so if any of them are listening, don't hold me to that. I'm not sure what kind of surprises we're going to have at the end of the season. It's all subject to change.
Yep. We give out
the team championship from last year was won by Po-Man Motorsports, just in dominating fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this season, Po-Man's domination ain't quite there as much as it was last season, and the Dirt Affliction guys are just wearing everybody out right now.
Yep.
3 races in, we'll be in our 7th week if you don't count the off week. So six.
Yeah.
This will be our 6th race. So 5 races now. They've won all 5 races. It's been something to see.
Yeah. Now I want to jump back for a little bit when you said you had an admin that was a champion. Our admins race. I've had other guests on who said they don't let their admins race. Admins are admins, but they say we're a laid back league. We'd be the equivalent of your local beer league, softball league type of thing.
We're pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
Our 4 admin actually race.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll jump in and say, hey, I'm not going to race tonight. Or if I'm, which this season I'm so far back in points, it wouldn't matter if I made a race or if I missed a race or not anymore. Yeah. I don't think I even got a chance to make the playoffs. I missed Daytona, so we were at a Luke Bryan concert the opening night of Apex, and I was like, really? We got to go to a concert on our opening night?
Well, heck,
this is going to be a big hole to dig out of.
Well, Luke Bryant, that's an excuse to miss a race. I would.
Well, I took the kids. I could care less to see Luke Bryant shake his butt all over the stage.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. We've been my 20-year-old. He's got me going reliving the '80s through him because he came up to me one day and he said, "He goes, what was so great about the '80s?" I said, "Son, sit down. I'll tell you a story." I said, basically, if you had a job, you could have a night because everything in the '80s was so much more reasonable and in proportion compared to today. I said, if you had a full-time job, you could afford a nice car, your own apartment, or a small house, young, and if you went out on a Saturday night and you spent $15, you had one heck of a good time. He's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I said, and the music was good.
I couldn't tell you anything about partying in the 80s. I was only, I was born in 87, so I wouldn't but knee-high to a grasshopper before the 90s started.
Yeah.
I remember the 90s, and I was a teenager in the early 2000s. So.
Oh, wow. I was a teenager in the 70s.
Late 70s. My senior year was 2006. So
the
first 6 years of the new millennia, wow. is when we were all teenagers. And I got friends that are older than us that were teenagers in the 90s, and you just start talking and comparing stuff, and it's crazy to see how different culture is was then, the culture is even now to when we were seniors.
Exactly.
Teenagers.
I graduated in 1980, and the joke amongst my generation is friends don't tell friends the 80s were 40 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I have not even thought about that.
Yeah, it just seems like yesterday. In the early 2000s was 20 years ago was the 80s. It wasn't 2020 years ago. It's like,
This is true.
yep.
My mother-in-law, when we were sitting there on the couch the other day, my kids were talking to my mother-in-law about school or something. She said, "Do you realize it's almost 50 years since she graduated?"
Oh
I was like,
man.
"Oh, interesting."
Yep. It's 40,
So,
41 years for me.
anyway, back to
Back to
back
racing.
to the real world here. Apex is broadcasted by Five Kings Network now this season.
Okay.
They picked us up in the last season. I think we did the final 4, 5, 6 races, maybe.
Yeah.
It was all the playoff races last season. And Tanner and Jason with Five Kings Network have done a really awesome job. They're fun to watch.
Cool. And what platforms do they broadcast you on?
They broadcast us on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay.
I do not think they do Twitch. But for the most part, our races, like I said earlier, they go green. They're green flag races, and we got a lot of side by side racing. And
Cool.
they, when it gets boring, they do a really good job of keeping you entertained. They do best paint of the night. Like I said, the hard charger and several other things that pop up throughout the night. I don't even have a list in front of me to tell you what all they are.
Yeah. And how did you find those guys, or did they find you?
We actually were kind of looking for a broadcaster to start this season with, and one of our Final Four guys, Garrett Kinder, brought them to our attention. It was like, hey, these guys are just starting. Maybe it's worth a shot trying. All right, we'll give them a try and see what happens. And
cool.
They've actually done it really well. They've done really well from where they started. The first couple of broadcasts we watched of theirs, we were like, sure, we want these guys. But as the end of the season progressed last year, they got better and better. It became a lot of fun to actually watch the races, and I go back and watch all of them backwards again just to see. And
it's cool.
It's entertaining actually to watch them, because even though I know what's going to happen in the race, it's actually entertaining to listen to them try to tell. And it's kind of enthusiasm for what's going on.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool when they show the in-car camera and it's your car, and then they put your little picture up there with your name and where you're from, and it feels like, hey, I'm just like the guys on Real Racing.
Exactly, it's
fun. It is.
That Apex has just grown so much. We've gone through a few growing pains. We hit a few growing pains this past couple of weeks, and
it happens.
It does. We got Homestead coming up this week, like I said earlier, and I was running some laps when we were first talking before the show started, and I was like, this is not going to be good. The setup's really loose. And
Homestead has changed. It used to be you could run 2 or 3 lines on that track. It's not like that anymore.
Now you either have to run the bottom, or you're up against the wall dragging the quarter panel all the way down the track.
Yeah, and I don't like dragging the wall.
And I'm not good at either portion of that. I was halfway decent at it when it running through the middle, but and I'm no ace at this stuff at all.
Oh no, me neither. My I rating is like
behind the scenes stuff and painting race cars. That's about it.
My I rating is like 1390. My goal last year was to get up to 1500, and every time I get to like 1490, it's like either week 13 or it goes to Daytona or Talladega, and it's like you just get killed. I don't even want to tell you what my road I rating is. It's like 700.
I don't even have a road I rating. I hadn't run enough road races to even get it classified.
Yeah, I love road, but I totally suck at driving. We had 3 road courses in our league this year, and let's put it this way: if there were 22 cars that started the field, I would finish 27th. That's how bad I am on it.
Me too. And we don't have any road courses on our schedule yet this season. Next season, yeah, probably. We got to add some. There's people asking for them.
Gotcha.
But man, I don't know how to explain it. I just can't seem. I told you earlier I have ADD, and my ADD will kick in, and I can be running along. I ran a race last night at Five Flags in another league, and I was tooling along, running good, running good top 10 finish, and next thing I know, I'm sitting sideways at the end of pit road and tied up in a wreck, and well, my boneheaded self forgot to hit the fast repair when I made it to the pit stall, and ended up
I've
a
done
lap
that.
down, and well, actually ended up 7 laps down because the car blew up.
Yep. I usually
pits, and
we do 2 quick repairs during our races, and early in the race, I'll turn that button off, and then I'll get into a wreck, and I'll pull down pit road, forget to turn it on, and I'm sitting there like, what do you mean I'm doing only 140 miles an hour? Then I look down, and it's like, I didn't even use a quick repair. I forgot to turn it on. So I've done the same thing. Yep.
Oh yeah, we do one of each, and a lot of times it's saving it to the end of the race when you know if you only got like 10, 15, 20 seconds of damage, there's no sense in using it.
Oh no,
you're
not
still
at all.
Gonna be up to speed.
Yeah.
And, usually I check it. I'll put it in fourth gear and idling under the pace laps. I'll push the clutch in and see what the idle is on the truck. And that way I know if I get into a wreck or I catch the wall or something, when I get a free second under caution and we're just idling around, I can reach down, hit the clutch, and hold the clutch in and see what the RPMs are then. And I can tell whether I'm down on power or whatnot.
That's a good move.
And I just gave away a trick. Oops. But it's one of those things. It's like, do I use it or do I not use it? And a lot of nights I won't use it till late in the race, and I'll end up using the fast repair.
Yep. I'll get a road hypnosis sometimes on a big oval like Talladega, and forget what turn you're in.
I've done that several times. You diving off in the corner, and it's like, yeah, turn 1, you hit the brake here. Turn 4, you hit the brake. Or turn 3, you hit the brake here. And I'll get mixed up because I have different references, and I'm sitting there racing somebody, and I'll end up grabbing the brake too hard in the 1, or grabbing the brake too little in the 3.
Yeah. Oh, that reminded me on NASCAR radio on Sirius XM. They were talking to one of the old time drivers, and his breaking point, and I think it was at Martinsville, was a guy in a white shirt up in like row 37, let's say, and he knew when he saw that guy that was his breaking point, and then his breaking point wasn't working after halfway through the race because his crew chief was like, "What's going on?" Well, I'm using that guy up there in row 37 in the white shirt, and he said, and then the other guy, this crew chief finds out, he goes, "That guy has changed his seat like 8 times since the green flag of this race." It was so cool because it was back in the days when you didn't have 18,000 spotters or whatever. The spotters weren't as. He says, "Oh, I guess I got to find it." So I mean, it happens to everybody.
To find something as a reference, and I can't see the stands on my screen. I run on a 49-inch widescreen. I can't see the stands because I have the field of view so far up.
Okay.
And so I have to try to find a reference point. And some places I can't find one, and it's just like, okay.
Yep. Follow the guy in front of you. If he's doing well, just follow him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Justin, I want to say thanks for stopping in tonight. Like I said, we got rid of the 15-minute segments. We've gone through 6 15-minute segments here alone tonight. And it's been a great.
I looked down at the time and I went, "Oh wow, that's an hour and a half already."
Yeah, it's like it starts out, and I'm like looking at the clock, and I'm like, "Oh, we've covered half your bio, and it's 8:15." I do this with everybody. I'm like, I hope we have stuff to talk about, and it always goes on. It's a great conversation. So, in a wrap up, if somebody wants to get in touch with Apex Sim Racing E-Series Showdown, if you're taking new drivers, how do they get in touch with you?
There's no real good easy way right now. I really don't know how to explain that because as of right now, we're not actually taking any drivers because we've already started. We're halfway through our season now, so
that makes sense.
But there'll be some recruitment races probably starting the middle of March. Going, through 1st of April or so, somewhere in there. And just have to look out for those. Hopefully we'll get a Facebook page built or a Facebook group or whatever built the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Might try to do that over the off weeks we got coming up, so that it'll make it easier to find us.
What about your What about your Discord? Is that open to non-league members or just league members?
The Discord, just about anybody can get in it because we can give you permissions and set it to where you see some of the chat, but not all the chat.
Right.
And we're toying with options on that right now.
Okay.
That was a discussion we had about a week ago now.
Yeah.
It's not finished yet, but we'll have something like that here soon.
Okay. Sounds good. So when you get ready to run your recruiting for like late March or April, give me a holler back. We'll bring you back on so that way we can get the word out if you're looking for drivers at that point.
I will. When we do this again, I'm gonna have to bring some of the drivers in with me too.
Oh yeah, please do.
And that'll probably be a 2 or 3 hour conversation because man, we get off chasing rabbits and telling stories.
Oh yeah, that's what I love about it. That's what I love about it. Like I said, it's a conversation, not an interview. If it were an interview, we'd be done in 15 minutes. But I don't like doing interviews. I like doing.
No, it's not as fun with an interview. We can't just start telling stories then.
No, you're right. All right, Justin.
Like I said, we'll have to do this again, and I'll have to bring some of the guys with me.
Yeah, please do.
It'll be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, maybe we'll do it in. I'm booked through the end of the year with guests. I'm booking into January now, so talk to some of your guys and give me a holler. Maybe we'll do something late January or February. See how your league is going there.
You can do that because we'll be in the middle of playoffs.
Oh, cool.
Probably about the middle of February, so we'll see if we can't squeeze something in there.
And I'll try to squeeze some secrets. I'll try to squeeze some secrets out of your drivers.
Good luck. I can't do it, so maybe you can.
All right, Justin, have yourself a good night and happy holidays, and thanks again for stopping by. This was a blast.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you.
Good night. Justin Miller from Apex Sim Racing E-Series Showdown, and what a great guy. Like I said, we started out this podcast bringing in guests, and I was planning on 15-minute segments, doing 2 guests per night. We've burned through 6 of those 15-minute segments tonight. That's why we have 1 guest per show. And then on Wednesday nights, I got to, after this, go through and do the whole Joe Six-Pack update for the week. Justin Miller, Apex Sim Racing E-Series Showdown. And they're racing at Homestead this week. And he also owns 1-Inch Designs, doing logos and paints for a good price of $10 there. Sounds like he's really into the paint scene there. And some of his other sponsors, Passion Specialized Services, Absolute Product Solutions, Poman Motorsports, one of the teams, Last Chance Racing, Midwest Motorsports, some of the teams in the league there, Dark Horse Motorsports, Dirt Affliction, Kyle Roberts Designs with the great leather logo on the page there. Sounds like they had a really nice price for somebody, a custom-made leather wallet with their car number on it, etc. Sounds really cool. Burkhalter Recycling and Demo, and Dark Horse Motorsports, and their broadcaster, 5 Kings Network. Hey, if you're interested in being a guest on the Joe Six podcast, we have a great time doing it. We've talked to people from all over the world. We'll be back on tomorrow night with a league management. I forget what the actual term is there, but anyway, they run the rules for you during the league, and they'll be on tomorrow night and from down under, down in Australia. So give me a holler at Joe Sixpack Racing on Facebook, or just look us up, send us a note, and let me know what you do in a league. If you're a painter, a driver, you own a team, you're a broadcaster, you're an admin, league steward, we'd love to talk to you and find out more about you so you can get your word out and give me something to talk about. The Joe Sixpack Racing merch shop is still up there. Still up there for your holiday treasures or your 12-month-a-year beer drinking, wine drinking adventures. You can get that 4-inch ceramic tree ornament put up there on your tree out of the way of the cats, and the throw pillow to throw at the cats because the cats are going to climb up that tree and find any ornament you put on there. The league, Joe Sixpack Racing, gets a $3 cut off of anything that's sold, goes towards offsetting the expenses of running the league. and broadcasting. Anything extra goes towards prizes. That's the Joe Sixpack Racing merch shop at cafepress.com/Joe Sixpack Racing League. Joe Sixpack Racing League is finishing up Season 3 this week. We finished up Trucks, Legends are done, and Next Gen Cup Series, our final race of the year, will be this Sunday. And we are beginning recruiting for next year already for Season 4. We'll be starting that Sunday night at about 7 o'clock after our final season race for the Next Gen Cup Series. Next Gen Cup Series will be recruiting at 3 tracks this year: Charlotte, Kentucky, and Daytona. You can find out when those races are on our Facebook page, on Twitch. It'll be up here, and I'm also posting at various places on Facebook. Pick 'em Up Trucks starts their recruiting December 14th at Atlanta at 7 p.m. 90-lap race. Next Gen will be at Charlotte on Sunday, December 12th at 7 p.m., and that will be a 120-lap race night, 60% fuel, 2 green-white checkers, 2 quick fixes, 2 tire changes, and competition caution at lap 50. Formula V road course race, that's our new league this year. Their first recruiting race will be Thursday, December 16th at 7 p.m. at Lime Rock. 35 laps, 100% fuel, 2 quick changes on the tires, 2 quick changes, 2 quick fixes, 2 tire changes, sorry. And our road courses are not running any full course yellows. It'll be just like some of the bigger road course leagues, where there'll be area yellows. Yellow flag will come up on the left-hand side of your screen telling you there's somebody off the road, slow down, etc., like that. And they will be doing their races at Lime Rock and Summit Park, 4 different dates, Thursdays and Tuesdays. Our Legends League, which is run by one of our admins, Anthony Garland, that runs on alternating Mondays to fit his work schedule. So when they're racing, there will be 2 league races each night. So you're not going to spend every other week and just have a 6-race or 7-race season. They'll be doing 2 races a night, and they begin their recruiting season Monday, the 13th of December at Langley. There'll be 40 laps fixed at 8 p.m., and they're going to do a whole bunch of tracks. They're going to do Langley, USA International, Bristol, Oxford, South Boston, Martinsville, and New Hampshire. Season 4 starts on January 4th with Legends on Monday, Trucks on Tuesday, Formula V on Thursday, and Next Gen Cup Series on Sundays. Whole bunch of practices during the week that our league managers will set up and post. You can find these races for recruiting season. They'll be listed under hosted on the hosted races, and they will start out as JSPRL, which stands for Joe Sixpack Racing League, recruiting, and then it'll name the track. To join Joe Sixpack Racing League, pretty easy. You can look us up, our leagues, on the racing page on Facebook, a league page. Ask to join. Pretty simple requirements. Rating cap is 2,000, and your license is Rookie 2.0 to Class A 4.0. We go a little bit further in vetting the drivers. I go through and I do check average incidents per race. So if you're a really, really good results, finishing top 5 30% of the time, winning 20% of your races, but you've got 16 or 18 incidents per race, you're not going to make it in the league. We try to keep it down low. That's Joe Sixpack Racing Season 4 recruiting schedule. 21 races between this coming Sunday, the 12th, and the first weekend of 2022. Races will be posted all over the internet, as well as individual races. That's it for the special edition of the Joe Sixpack podcast. You can have a beer with Joe Sixpack. Just follow me. Looking to get up to 60 followers. Doesn't do anything except stroke my ego a little bit and get a few more listeners out there. And this series is called The Faces Behind the Races on the Joe Sixpack podcast. Have yourselves a good night. And as usual, we'll see you on the track. Good night.